One, two, three. Awesome. I'm here with Cole McLaughlin, owner of Pacific Northwest Pro Wash. 27 years old, runs a seven-figure exterior cleaning business. Cole, how you doing?
Pretty good, Ray. Good to see you.
Awesome, man. So let's get right into it. Cole, how'd you get into the exterior cleaning industry?
I got into it by actually working for the business I own right now. So I started as a estimator for Pro Wash, and that's how I got my feet wet
So you started off in this business or another business?
in this business. Yeah.
How'd you move up to owner?
I made a deal with the owner. I bought. I'm really close. I was really close with the owner, Corey, who wanted to move to back to the East Coast and get back into he's from the East Coast. His goal was to grow this company and then move away. And so I kind of was just in the right place at the right time and had been with him along the journey. So I got to learn a lot of what it's like to grow a business from, I probably entered when we were doing maybe like 300,000 a year. And then now to where we're at now. So I kind of got to go along the journey and learn from doing all the different roles. So I was an estimator. I've been a technician. I've been a manager. So I've kind of played every role you can play. And then right now, I got to do a lot of more stuff. So I'm doing like the office stuff, answering phone calls, getting the techs out right now, and having the time to talk to you, that kind of stuff. Working on trying to grow the business.
Nice. So you started off as you were a technician, went to a sales rep, and then
I
you
started as a sales rep.
okay,
My
sales rep.
background was in sales, and so I used to. I had another sales job, and I met Corey when I used to sell phones for AT&T, and he came in the store and
Wow.
offered me a job.
Wow. Okay. So started off selling phones for AT&T. The owner came in, offered you a job, and now you own the company a few years later.
Yeah,
Wild ride. Okay.
yeah.
Talk about some so where was the company at in terms of revenue when you joined it as the owner?
When I joined in, we were doing probably like 300,000 a. Or when I started owning, what were we doing? Or are you asking like when I first started?
Yeah, talk about both the whole journey.
Yeah, so the whole journey, I came when we were doing about 300,000 a year in revenue. There was another estimator who trained me,
Hmm.
and I think my second month, like he had been averaging maybe like 30,000 a month in sales, and I think my second month, I did probably close to 60,000 in revenue sales, and so they actually fired him and made me
Hmm.
the full-time estimator. And we were actually working out of a storage unit.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and
Okay.
then we had rented a little tiny office where you could do your desk work, and it wasn't much bigger than like this little square here.
Hmm.
Um, and it was interesting having to go to the storage unit every morning to go pick up a truck and grab your equipment and then run jobs that way. So that's kind of like my bare bones starting position. As we grew into bigger spaces. Like I have a pretty big office space up here, as well as like a few thousand square foot shop. We got 7 work vehicles. We have an office downstairs, as well as a waiting area and a bathroom. So we have like a lot more space, a lot more growth, being able to slowly acquire more revenue over the years and keep growing, but we're still not where we want to be yet.
Okay. Got it. So when you were a sales rep, did you ever like give someone a low quote by accident? Talk about that. Ever underquoted?
Oh yeah,
Screwed
oh
up?
yeah. Everybody
Uh-huh.
has a learning curve that they go through, and underbidding or overbidding is all part of the journey. I think what like helps a business, if whether you're an estimator or a business owner, is to have some way to record all your numbers And so like with Corey, we did a weekly meeting with the estimators, and we would look at like our average ticket price. We would look at our closing ratio. And so like if your closing ratio wasn't quite 50%, maybe you needed to lower the prices. If you are closing higher than 50%, we got to like raise the prices. And then we went
Mhm.
through a lot of sales training. So like I went through the Grant Cardone training where it was about like $2,000 a month just for like me and one other guy. We did that for almost 2 years of just like it was weekly sales training with like weekly education modules, how to like build better salespeople. So I learned a lot from that as well. So we tried to master strategies, and they also kept us accountable in our sales.
Okay. How did you kind of learn how to quote, like remembering, like versus how much you quote versus like another rep in the company quote? What was kind of like that deciding factor?
Yeah, so the original owner was really big into systems, and so everything had to be repeatable to make a business scalable. So with quoting, most services are either going to be measured by square foot or by linear foot, and then you attach a price to it. So when you first start off, if you have no idea how much it should cost, you simply make up a number for per square foot or however much money you want to make. You can get really technical with it by like actually factoring in what your daily overhead is. There's 22 working days in a month, and then you can divide your costs of doing business and then your cost of labor, and then create your profit margin, and that should create a starting point to make a price. And then just making sure you're hitting like a minimum ticket, so that way you're paying for your gas and you're paying for your chemical, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of like where the process began. And then you fine tune the pricing by square foot. And now we have the pricing that we like. And prices can range, sometimes a year when you're less busy, maybe you are lowering your price to get more work. And maybe when you're super, super busy, you're raising the price because you can't take on as much work. And it just kind of like depends on your situation a little bit.
Mm, okay. Give me 1 second. I forgot to ask you one question specifically about. I wanted to have you introduce yourself and say why should people listen to you. So I'll
Oh
edit like
yeah.
so like
Well,
why you're credible to talk about business. Like talk about
yeah, yeah.
business
Well,
stuff.
yeah. My name's Cole. I own Pacific Northwest Pro Wash. I think what makes me credible to talk about at least like the pressure washing or soft washing space type business is that I run a 7-figure a year pressure washing company. And I've been in the pressure washing space for almost 5 years now. And so I've dealt with a lot of the problems that business owners will have to deal with to grow a business, and or I've been a part of the process and learned from other people. I've also undergone like a lot of education, whether it was being a part of like sales training like Grant Cardone where you're paying a lot of money, or other people being a part of coaching programs like Conquer where I think it's like $1,200 a month, and having been connected to people that have been paying for that for years and
Oh,
using a
wow.
lot of the resources from those types of programs. So I try to condense it in a way that is easy to access for other people and not necessarily as expensive.
How many total employees do you have?
Like right now,
Yeah, everyone, sales rep, techs,
yeah.
everything.
Right now, I have an office manager. I have 4 technicians. I have an estimator, and then there's myself, and that's kind of the slow time of year. So we have seven of us total. And it's February is our slowest month.
So 7 full-time employees on payroll.
Hmm.
Okay. Talk about your estimator. So are you paying them strictly commission basis or is it a base plus commission?
Yeah, we strictly pay commission, and so they receive a draw, which is really common with commission-based employees. They receive a minimum wage draw, and then they receive a percentage of the subtotal of any job they sell. And people can sell like in my experience, an estimator could sell anywhere from $40,000 to $120,000 in a month,
Oh,
and
wow.
then So it just depends. If you're full time doing estimates, you can do quite a bit to sell more.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say it's not uncommon for an estimator to do, five to $700,000 in sales uh per estimator.
Wow, that's a lot.
Like in a whole year.
Hmm. Okay. So as someone who runs a seven-figure business, and specifically in this industry, there's a lot of people getting into it now. More and more people every year. It's this pressure washing stuff is blowing up on TikTok. What do you say the difference is between the people who build a big business like you and the people who always just stay kind of one truck? Because you said when you started, you were in there's a lot of competition in your area, right? Tons of
Yeah, a
competition. Okay,
lot of ankle biters.
what kind of differentiates people like you to reach the top of
Yeah,
the area?
I mean, so pressure washing, to answer your question, is a low barrier to entry. So there's a lot of people that pressure wash,
Hmm.
and it could range from convicts to like a homeless guy can go to Home Depot and buy a pressure washer if you can
Uh-huh.
get a credit card. And so there's a difference between that and like what we're doing. It's going to be like education. It's going to be professionalism. It's going to be communication. It's going to be mastery of like all the different parts of a business, from sales to customer service to expertise of doing things, as well as like even funds or money. Like each truck can get pretty expensive, and we have all the nicest equipment. It's not being done, we're not like batching chemicals in a bucket. It's being professionally mixed through a proportioner. And so all that takes money, and that changes the barrier of entry because not everybody has the funds to like run such high level of commercial equipment.
Hmm.
Pressure washers for doing commercial buildings are, at least that you can spend $4,000 on a like 8 gallon per minute machine. And so it's just kind of a different level of versus going to the Home Depot and putting like baking soda on a roof or something like that.
Hmm. Baking soda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laundry detergent or whatever people are doing.
Yeah, I got you. You guys are really high. You guys are like the premier professional company in your areas for the high-end homeowners who want a company they can trust. They call you. Let's talk about how did you establish that brand? And so you have all the equipment, etc. But how do the homeowners know that you guys are like the professional company in your area? Because
Yeah, I would say you can look at Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Yelp, that kind of stuff. We have over 400 5-star Google reviews.
holy shit.
So like I think that like helps alone. When you see 20 companies and most of them have 5 or 10 reviews, and then there's a company with 400 5-star reviews, it kind of just you don't even have to really think about it. You're going to want to go with the one that people are commenting on and talking about.
400 reviews, that's a lot. It's a lot
Hmm.
of stars. Yeah.
So that's
What
like a
does
constant effort.
mm, okay. So what would you recommend to someone, let's say, starting out, they're looking to get into this business? Let's say if you were to start over from zero today in 2024, maybe all you had was like, a few $1,000. How would you start over?
Yeah, what I would
Mm.
do if I had to start from scratch, of course, I'd create my legal entity to get, my contractor's license, or like look up what you have to do in your state to be legal first. Get your insurances. If Hopefully I can assume I have a truck or a vehicle. If
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't, I would go get a car loan. If I can't do it on business credit, I'd put it on my personal credit and go get a car loan. That $500 a month truck payment is gonna pay you a lot more money than the payment. And then what I would do from my experience is I would probably pre-sell. I would go get 50% deposits, and I would go sell the jobs a month in advance. And I would try to sell as much as I could and get like 50% deposits, get 10, 15, $20,000. And then I'd buy a skid and build out the pressure washing rig the right way. And I'd build it for commercial work. And then even like $20,000 on a credit card, the payment's not that high monthly, and your interest can be written off. So I would do that, and then be
Mm.
able to just start working professionally from there. Buy myself one or two polos, and probably put like a basic vinyl logo on the vehicle, and then call it good, and start working, answering phone calls, and getting all of that work completed.
Interesting. So you'd go straight to professional. You would skip all the amateur like buying like a Home Depot washer. You'd go straight. You'd
Yeah.
go get the funds and just go straight professional and just pay off the loan as soon as possible with cash flow.
That's how I would do it, because I don't know, if anything's worth doing, it's worth doing the right way or the best way. I of course I didn't start from nothing. I've only worked with commercial equipment, but I know the difference of speed. And one thing that makes you money is how fast you can do the work. And so, like with these commercial rig setups, you're going to be working 10, 15 times faster than somebody with a Home Depot pressure washer, maybe 20 times faster, 50 times faster, when it comes to certain types of services. And if you're able to do these services faster, you're going to raise your hourly income. And so instead of it being 20, $50 an hour, commercial work, you could be doing $200 an hour on average, something like that, $250 an average on average. um, which will matter if you're trying to pay your guys well. If you want to be able to grow, you need to be able to make money fast.
Okay. So how would you get those jobs or how would you get those pre-deposits? What would be, your marketing plan? You start with nothing, you get the truck, how would you get those deposits?
Yeah, I would. I mean, this is probably controversial, but I'd probably open a credit card, and I'd start putting some money in Google ads and Facebook ads. I would go join my local BNI group or some sort of networking group, Chamber of Commerce. I would also put on a credit card 1,000 yard signs, door hangers, cards, and I would start door knocking, putting out door hangers in neighborhoods, 100 at a time, 50 at a time, and then try to knock out 20, 40 signs a day, yard signs. And if you're doing that, if you spend 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours a day doing that, you're going to get calls and you'll have work no matter what. I would also like confront my like power base. So like I would talk to my mom, my like stepdad, my brother, and see who they know. All my friends that own houses, I'm 27. Some of my friends own houses. I talk to them like, hey, do you need my services? Or do you know anyone that needs my services? I would ask my friends to leave me 5-star reviews. Like even if they haven't used the service, they could just speak to my character or my personality. I'd start building my Google presence. I'd get myself like Google verified as quickly as possible. Those are like
Mhm.
some of the things I would do.
Hmm. Okay. So talk about why do you think you said that's controversial? That's exactly what I would do too. I'd first start marketing and then I'd go spend money after I have, proof that I can get some sales. Sounds like what you
Yeah,
would do, right? Get the sales
yeah,
and then go buy the stuff. So
yeah,
why do you think that's controversial for most people? Because most people do it the opposite way. So
yeah.
talk about that.
I think it's controversial, and of course, like, yeah, I'm just giving advice. Don't like blame me if it all goes wrong. But like,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't have an appetite for risk. But essentially, a key part of owning a business is like being willing to take some sort of risk. So I've taken those risks before, and they pay off. Some people maybe are thinking like, oh, I need to do the work and grow like this. I'd rather put in the marketing and start swinging up here, and then
Hmm.
let the payments catch up, and then you're growing exponentially. Whereas like some people are just gonna hang here and slowly loop up. It's way easier to start here and catch back up, and then you soar faster, in my opinion. Some people call it like shady business tactics to go get the deposits for equipment you don't own yet. But in my opinion, that's like a great way
Yeah.
to fund growth is get deposits. But yeah, it's definitely controversial because some people think it's not the right way to go.
Okay, so you believe in yourself so much that you're confident you'd be able to pull it off.
Yeah, well, especially if you're like trying to 10x and you're working nonstop, there's no way you can fail if you believe that.
Okay, so talk about. I see a lot of people get a lot, especially younger guys, getting into this business. They're like, I can't get work. I'm doing. They say they're doing everything, but like I asked a guy, he said, I'm knocking doors. I said, how many doors did you knock? He said 75. So he's like, I can't get any work. He was complaining in this Facebook group. So talk about that. What do you think? What's your advice to people out there who have a business and they're not getting enough work? Like, is it talk about that?
Yeah, so there's two things like there's hard work and then there's smart work. And like if I can make $1,000 in a day, and I learned to make $1,000 in an hour, it doesn't mean I should take all day, or it doesn't mean I should like work for 1 hour and then like take the rest of the day off. I should then work for 8 hours and make $8,000. So like door knocking, your closing ratio is going to be pretty low, and the problem if he knocked 75 doors and 75 people answered and he didn't close any of them, I'm going to say that it's probably his sales ability, and so it's his education. So he's working hard, maybe, but he's not working smart. And so, like, his next step would be like, okay, obviously, I'm not selling very well and not presenting myself very well. I don't have the right, I don't have like the right keynotes of what to say to these folks as I go up to them. So he needs to like focus on education and learn how to be a better salesperson. But the issue is if he's complaining and he's making excuses, he'll like never reach his goal, because ultimately as a business owner you have to take 1,000% responsibility for every action that happens within your business. And if you can't do that, then like business is not for you.
Hmm. Okay. So what do you like? So you said you'd go run Google ads, do SEO. What do you say to those people? I'm talking to a buddy of mine, and he started his business last year, and I told him like, hey man, go all in on SEO. The competition's weak in your area. We checked. I said, go all in on SEO, right? I can send you a company that I know is good. And he was like, oh, but I might wait till next year. Like he's playing it safe. What would you say to people who are kind of playing it safe and they don't want to go all out on advertising? Maybe because it's new to them. This is their first business, etc. They're not as experienced as you. What would you say?
Um, it's hard because every market can be a little bit different. Like some places Facebook will work really well, some places Google's going to work really well. As a business owner, it's your responsibility to like bring in leads, and so that means you have to learn how to market yourself, or learn marketing or work with somebody. I'm a big believer in working with people that have more education than me. So if I like don't understand how to do Google ads or Facebook ads, I'm going to work with somebody who's smarter and try to learn from them at the same time. And so a lot of it is like a pay to play. And if you have the money or can take the risk, it's usually going to be better to build an amazing team around you versus trying to do everything yourself, because most owners, like, maybe they're really good at being a technician, or me, like my experiences in sales. But it doesn't mean that like I'm the best office manager or the best marketer or this or that. And so you got to learn how to hire out and get people that are better than you in lots of things.
Hmm. Okay. So so your end statement to those people is no matter what, you got to find a way to figure it out. You
Yeah,
got
you get there's no choice. You do have to be on all those platforms. You have to market yourself in every way. Uh, so if whatever your holdup is, you have to work on it. Some people, maybe if they're older, is like they're not good with technology or something, but it's like that's your hurdle to learn.
hmm. Okay. So that's their hurdle to learn. And let's say they're hesitant because they don't they don't see, like, for example, SEO, right? SEO costs a lot of money a month for if you're working with a decent company, and you might not see a return on your money for a good few months, at least minimum, right? SEO takes a
Or
while,
year.
a year. It takes a while to kick in. So when you first joined your company, did you guys already have that kind of rolling, or it was already
Mm-mm.
rolling in, or you were the one who launched the SEO campaign?
Yeah, we didn't really have SEO in particular. Like I work with a company now that we have the funds to do it. And SEO, like if it's super expensive, doesn't work with it, like work for every size company. I can't tell everybody to spend $2,600 a month or $2,100 a month or whatever it costs. And so if you can't afford it, you have to learn about it. So it's like start YouTubing or educate yourself. There's a lot of things that we've done ourselves until we could afford it, or taking out debt to be able to afford it now if we thought it was pertinent. So it's not going to be the same for every person. Every business is a little bit different.
Okay. Talk about insurance. What does like insurance look like? Any like nightmare stories for running such a big company? What's
Yeah.
going
I haven't had any insurance issues yet. I mean, it's expensive. You pay the more you grow, the more you pay. Car insurance is crazy expensive. When you have 7 vehicles, the car
Holy shit.
insurance is pretty wild. It's not like hundreds, it's thousands per month.
Thousands per
Yeah.
vehicle?
Not per vehicle, no, no, but like altogether, it gets pretty expensive.
Hmm.
Liability insurance, it is what it is. You have to be insured, so that's just a cost of doing business. What I tell people is like that's going to be part of your overhead, and that means you got to charge this much more. So whatever the expenses of doing business, it's just what it is, and then you can like look for deals or whatever. But if you then get good sales and you are covering your expenses, it doesn't really matter.
What would you say to like the $99 guy or someone who they wants to raise, like they want to raise their prices like you have? Maybe they're not obviously not at the level you're at, but they want to raise their prices, but they're afraid of losing business. What would you, afraid of not getting in as much work? What would you say if they're in that situation?
Well, it's a really easy math equation. So, like, let's say you have 10 customers and they each pay $10. So, if you were to raise your prices to $20 per customer, you double your revenue, but maybe you'll lose half the people. If you lose half the people, you're still making the same amount of money
With less
with half
work.
as many customers.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
I mean, that's like part of business too, is you don't want to, I mean, in my opinion, some people want to service a lot of people really cheap. It makes more sense. It's more profitable to service less people and offer higher quality work if you want to grow a business. And you will always lose customers when you raise your prices. There's inflation, like right here in the United States, there's record levels of inflation. So if you aren't raising your prices, you're making less money every year.
Hmm. Okay. Talk about, so I'm sure you own this business through COVID-19, the pandemic, right?
I wasn't the owner during COVID, but I worked for the company.
Okay. Did you see like how has business been with all like inflation, the economy, people talking about the economy going down? You guys have still been growing, right? So you haven't noticed it too much. So it's all been up for you.
Yeah, well, one thing with COVID in particular is that COVID is a disease, and people, it requires sanitization has become a more prevalent issue. And so, in our industry, the soft washing aspect of cleaning homes and roofs, we're actually sanitizing those surfaces. It kills COVID, and we're outside, so we're a necessary business. It's fairly recession proof, in my opinion. People always will need their gutters and roofs cleaned or whatever, their concrete cleaned so they don't slip and fall and die. We don't want like 80-year-old people like walking on a roof cleaning their own roof. So there's a lot of safety aspects to it, the sanitization aspect to it. It's all relatively recession proof.
Okay. So for the winter months, do you still operate or do you take a break? Like right now, roughly.
I don't believe in taking breaks. We do holiday lighting,
What
and
about
that
post
keeps
Christmas?
post Christmas. We got to take all those holiday lights down, so
Oh,
that keeps us pretty busy. We did about a
um,
$2 million of holiday lights this year.
$250,000 of holiday lights
Hmm.
over like what period of the year?
October and November.
2 months, $125,000 a month.
Yeah, yeah,
So
of revenue.
$250,000 a year in two sales. Talk about that. So how is the whole Christmas lighting industry for you? What do you like? What do you don't like?
Oh, I love everything about it. Holiday lighting is a great industry. One, it keeps us employed. I don't have to lay everybody off or
Oh,
myself. I like to make money. I want to keep working. It's a magical service. It's like the wedding industry. People love Christmas. It's a religious holiday for some. It's a family holiday for some. You're like making people's dreams come true. It's magical. It's pretty awesome. It's a premier white glove service. So they're paying for the install, takedown, maintenance. It's a very easy, convenient, one-stop shop. We got you covered. So that's kind of like what we offer. And the beauty of it is you're only paying for gas, wear and tear on your truck. You don't need a lot. You need like a ladder, and then you buy materials, and then boom, you have a repeat business, kind of like gutter cleaning. People need it every year. Christmas comes around every single year, so you usually have those customers for years to come.
Okay. How do you rebar? So I'm assuming, let's say lead comes in, you don't close them. How do you, I'm sure you have systems in place to where you're constantly making more touch points with that lead to potentially close them later. Is that right?
For sure. We use a software called we use a software called My Service Robot.
Hmm.
So you can like look into My Service Robot. It's a great way for pressure washing companies or service-based businesses to be able to follow, like have all your leads come through a pipeline, a CRM, and have like automations created connected to that account. So that's probably the way to do it.
How important would you say that is for someone starting out to constantly be working and nurturing the leads?
Yeah, software gets expensive. So I would say, depending on your growth, you have to make the decision of how much you want to spend in software. The software is pivotal. If you ever want to be a $1 million company, it's going to be different software than what you do to do $100,000 in a year. But again, you got to pay to play, and so the software has a 10, 20x on it. It's amazing, but if you're not able to bring in the work to handle using the software, you got to figure out like what's best. Is it like, can I use my time, leverage my time, or have I ran out of time and now I need to leverage software to like increase my time again? So you got to find that special sweet spot when you like become so busy that you can't handle the workload anymore. Then you would want to like look into My Service Robot.
Okay. Talk about like what equipment are you currently running on your rigs? You got trailer,
We have
in the bed
skids in
setup,
each of our trucks.
skids. Hmm.
hmm I can kind of see if I can show you. I think I can just rotate this. Whoop, bam.
Oh, is this your warehouse where you keep all your
Yeah,
stuff? Oh, okay, nice.
get like a little bit of a feel, but I got some people out right now. But essentially, there's the skids in the back of the trucks, and then we build them out ourselves. So they ship the skid, and then just compile all the equipment that you want on them.
What type of like GPM? What like what are they equipped with? What are you running on those?
We do like Honda GX 690s, 8 gallon per minute machines, 4,000 psi, I think. Um, I think like I always think about it in gallons per minute versus psi, because that's what's really going to be important is your like flow rate. And like my opinion, if you're starting out, maybe like a 5.5 gallon machine will get you going, but like 8 gallon or 10 gallon per minute is like you'll make more money because the water comes out faster. Um, but then you got to factor in like sizes of buffer tanks. What's the water pressure like in your state or your city? Some areas have like really high water pressure. Some places have terrible water pressure. So it depends on what you're doing.
Okay. What's your plan to, are you planning to expand your service radius outwards? Are you planning to just make more money within the radius you're in? What's your
Um,
long-term vision for this company and revenue?
I'd like to get to 2 million here. And then I would like to, I would probably create more. Like if you can create a profitable business, a really good example of my thought is Panda Express. So at Panda Express, the owner basically owns every location of Panda Express. Why
Oh,
would he
wow.
own them all? Well, it's like if you have a profitable business, then why wouldn't you? You just create, you get more, you get more money, and you make another business, you make another business. If the method of it is sound, you'll keep making money. So that would be my goal, is to open up more locations, whether it's, probably in the state first, maybe outside the country at some point, have a franchise, who knows, have license deals. But I'd like to prove the model to like at least $2 million, be profitable, super profitable, and then go from there.
So grow it to 2 million and then look into expanding into other parts of your state.
Yeah, yeah. Because a big thing for people is you got to figure out how many people are in your area. So there's only so much potential based off of population,
Mm.
typically, depending on what you do. At least in the service-based business, right? If there's 1,000 people in your city versus a million, you're gonna get more or less work or have more or less competition.
Okay. Interesting. So 2 million looking to expand. Do you see this growing to potentially like a 10 or even beyond that $1 million business a year, or do you think there's a limit to how far you could go?
Um, it's hard. I only have so much experience to speak on that. I think $10 million a year business would be really sweet. um it depends on the economy, probably a little bit. It depends on how much more I learn. It's taken a lot to get to where we're at now, so I'm sure the knowledge required to have a $10 million company is a lot different than a $1 million company or $100,000 company. And so I probably just haven't learned those skills needed yet, and can't really speak upon like a 10 or $100 million company because I haven't done it.
Okay, so touch on that. How much have you invested in education to be able to manage or have the knowledge infrastructure, knowledge capital to actually build a business this far? You said you took in some course, what was it, course sex or
I've taken like Grant Cardone's sales training courses. I've learned
Conquer,
a lot, huh?
Conquer program, right?
I've learned a lot from the Conquer program. I was never a member, so I just kind of like heard information. I've learned a lot.
Yeah,
I'd say
yeah.
that's a really good program, though. If somebody like wanted to fast track $10 million, that's probably, from what I know, is probably the fastest way to do it.
What do they like teach you? Because you said Conquer costs $1,200 a month, right?
I think
Well,
so. I like, don't quote me on it, but I think it's up there.
what are they teaching? What knowledge are they teaching you to justify that $1,200? Because they're not doing anything for you, right? They're just teaching you stuff you need
They,
to know.
Well, again, I wasn't a part of the program, so I can only speak so much. But they have coaching calls, I believe, weekly, and then they have seminars, as well as a huge database of knowledge. So, like, systems that you could basically insert into your own business that are worth quite a bit of money, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely a pretty valuable program.
Did you take Greg Cardone's? Like, is that the one you took yourself?
I've taken Grant Cardone's myself. Yeah,
Okay, I'm pretty sure he charges a few thousand
it was
a
about,
month,
I think it
no?
was like $2,400 a month or something like that.
Okay. Is it like a coaching program? Like there's weekly live calls with you and your team to kind of coach them, improve their
Yes,
sales skills?
it is a weekly coaching call from a dedicated sales coach for the business, and then they work with the sales team on, whether it's just getting practice and reps in of scenarios, or basically any questions we may have in the education stuff they send you. So it's a pretty invaluable program if you can afford it.
Hmm. Okay. So overall, you're a big plus on the education, investing in yourself to get it move ahead faster compared to learning it on your own.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, like, some people are geniuses and they can figure everything out on them by themselves.
Mhm.
I'm a pretty simple guy. But I have had a lot of education. I have a bachelor's degree. I have done the Cardone training, and then just like a lot of hands-on experience. And so you can either learn by working for somebody. That's probably the easiest way, is if you just go and you get paid to learn, go work for a pressure washing company for a summer. and then learn as much as you can, and then you could probably go start your own business off of that.
Okay. So when you were growing this business to seven figures, were there any points where you were like, we're going, you just thought like, crap, we're going under, or I can, this is so extremely hard. Any like really like, make or break points you'd say in the business, or points you just thought it wasn't looking so good the future?
Yeah, there's a lot of those all the time.
Hmm. Okay.
uh, but there's also lots of great times too. I mean, owning a business can be the most satisfying and probably the most difficult thing you can do. Um, there's always going to be issues with like cash flow in probably service-based businesses. So that's where the education comes in. You got to learn budgeting. You got to learn what cash flow is. You could be profitable and like burning cash, and that's not a good thing. Even so it's like,
Mm,
are you getting your receivables when you're smaller? It's really easy to collect 99, 100% of your receivables. If you have $120,000 in a month to collect, and that's 120 clients, it becomes more difficult. So you notice a buffer time. So getting cash is hard. I had a lot of help though when I like took over the business.
mm. Okay. Have you ever had ever had an issue with the customer not paying you?
For sure. Yeah, definitely have had people try not to pay me. I've had to try to threaten going to the courthouse, or putting a lien on a property before. I'm a pretty reasonable human being, and so the my issue will be if I would like to correct the situation. It's like, you can't not pay me, and we agreed on this. Maybe you had an issue with the service, then let me fix the issue, or offered like a discount. I don't really like offering discounts. I feel like it lessens your impact. I'd rather do what originally I planned to do. But if somebody just absolutely was just for no reason didn't want to pay me, I would probably figure out a way to get it sorted. I don't have any collections currently. I mean, I've
Hmm.
collected 100% this year so far.
Oh, nice. Have you had any like absolute nightmare client situations, like just absolute nightmare, caught wasted you a lot of time and money?
Yeah, I mean, some jobs just aren't profitable. A big issue out where I'm at, sometimes water pressure goes totally to south. So like, even though we have 100-gallon buffer tank, remember our machines are 8 gallons per minute, so that's about
12 minutes.
12 minutes of water pressure. So like if you're on a well or something, you can burn through it, and then you got to wait 30 minutes to fill that tank back up. Some jobs I've had to fill up a tank like 5 times. So if you wait for 3 hours on a 2 hour job, then you're not very profitable. So it depends. There's for sure jobs that are less profitable or have had issues. But we've also had jobs where we made a ton of money. You could do thousands of dollars in a few hours.
Okay. What are the inputs of your plans to grow this business to that $2 million a year business? Are you going to do anything new? Do you see it just kind of going there with the current trajectory if you just let it sit? Or do you plan to kind of like really push it to that point? How do you plan to do that?
Yeah, I've done some investments in some different marketing strategies for this year. Um, and that was a chunk of change. That maybe alone will help me bump up quite a bit. I've been tightening my systems and trying to get ways to bring recurring work. So I've created a lot of using that My Service robot, create a lot of pipelines that re communicate with past customers. Because if you're retargeting your past customers, then that's a whole nother revenue stream. Offering other services, that type of stuff. Um, Getting people on like plans, trying that out to see if I get somebody on a yearly plan with a certain amount of services that they pay for. Um, there's a few things in the books. I can't tell you everything, but
Hmm.
a couple ideas.
For sure, for sure. So I'm assuming a large percentage of your work is um commercial, right? Compared to residential. Like about
I'd
good
say
chunk.
I say we do more residential in a year, but we do it like maybe a 40-60 split, 40% commercial, 60% residential.
Okay, talk about how would like let's say a company land those looking to land more commercial jobs, get that higher ticket, uh those higher ticket jobs, how would you say they land them?
I would pay, I think it's I want to say it's $1,200 on the My Service Robot page, and they have a whole commercial pipeline that you can pay for that's pre-built out, and you just load it with emails, and you can get like an email scraper and then send out thousands of emails. I'd probably do that. Or you can commercial, I call up companies all the time, call up a property manager and just say, hey, my name's Cole with Pacific Northwest Pro Wash. We clean buildings and we've done a lot of commercial work. Just want to give you my contact information, or checking in when's your next, usually say something like, when's your next like budgeting phase, or when are you guys having to do like all your property management stuff. They usually want to sub it out. Like most property managers aren't like into pressure washing.
For sure. So even still now, you're running $1 million business. You're still out there calling, doing the calls yourself, shaking hands, meeting people, potential
All the time.
clients.
I think that's the difference of having $1 million business or not, is being able to do the behaviors that you don't like to do. All the things you hate to do are probably the things you should be doing the most. So it's being
Right, for sure.
disciplined.
Cool. So doing the commercial work, anything else you wanted to share to people who are looking to get into the industry, aspiring to grow their own business? What would you say to those people? Maybe they're stuck at about like a few thousand, maybe they're stuck on the truck right now. What would be your general advice be?
Yeah, I feel like a common thing I hear with people that are stuck on the truck is that they don't have time. And I think it's like a weird excuse, because you can never get off the truck unless you put in more hours than you currently are, because you have to do everything you're doing now. But then you also have to be either learning, which is the fast track is take a coach. So I recommend getting some sort of coach. And then you also have to be saving that money. If you're like early in your business, if you're still in the truck, you're probably early on in your business. You need to be saving all that money, because you're going to need it to fund like future payroll or future overhead, or invest in new trucks. If you ever want to like actually grow, you have to reinvest for years. You probably won't make, if you're new, you're probably not going to make a lot of money for years until you have invested and get everything set up the way you want it, and then start letting it feed you. Just like investing into a Roth IRA or something like that. It's like you're putting money in or time in today for something in the future to grow.
Got it. All right, cool. I think that's all the questions we have today. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, hope everybody enjoyed the content, and definitely like give us a like and subscribe for Ray.
Where can people find you if
You
they want to
can
reach out?
find me in a few places. You can find me on Facebook. If you can just type in Cole McLaughlin and you'll see the logo. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on pnwwash.com. You could probably like even leave a message down below on Ray's YouTube channel and reach out. You can also email me. If you like shoot me a message, I can always send over my email too.
Awesome. Sweet Cole, it was a pleasure, man.
Well, bam. Have a good one.
You too.